I'm moving forward every day, Jesus. I just let him lead the way every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day, 24/7. With Jesus every day, 24/7. I'm moving with Jesus. I'm moving with Jesus every day.
It is said that diet is the only thing that shows a gain by showing a loss. We continue our discussion on healthful living. And of course, in the house is Dr. Joe. And once again, Dr. Joseph, we want to thank you for taking the time to touch by mortals such as we are to share from your expertise on healthful living. Our series today is entitled Mind, Body, and Soul. We want to see the effects of healthful living as it relates to the mind, the body, and the soul. Let's start off with the sun. What effect does the sun have on the body?
Well, sunlight is very important for health, more so than most people realize. And apart from what the general population is aware of, meaning we need sunlight to help produce vitamin D,
Right.
there are also other benefits. We'll come back to vitamin D, but there are other benefits such as improved quality of sleep. So when you get that sunlight exposure, especially early in the day,
Right.
it helps to regulate what is known as the circadian rhythm. So we
Wow.
have that improved quality of sleep.
Wow.
It also aids in digestion
Wow.
and it improves your mood.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So we introduced that. That's why we are so late for work. We are so much in the sunshine that we get up late.
I wish that were true, Pat. I really do. But I've come to realize that some people run from sun like it's a plague,
I
the
tell you.
sunlight.
Okay.
But I want to advise that may not be the best course of
Okay.
action. Unlike what we would have said, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, as it related to fruits and vegetables, its
Right.
abundance
Right.
and lack of consumption. It's
Right.
similar. We live in a tropical climate
Right.
where sun is abundant,
Right.
sometimes too much, we complain. But yet still, a lot of persons at latitudes such as our own, I mean, in terms of the world,
Right.
suffer with vitamin D deficiency.
Wow.
And that is one vitamin you don't want to be deficient from.
Right.
Because in addition to it be playing a major role in regulating calcium absorption,
Is that right?
yes, and calcium, as many persons are already aware of,
Yeah.
it's important for strong bones and teeth.
Right.
If children are deficient in vitamin D, they
Right.
can end up with rickets.
Right.
And if older persons, particularly postmenopausal women, are deficient in calcium, they can end up with osteoporosis.
What is rickets?
Rickets is a case where the bones that develop in children are not strong. So
Right.
they don't have the integrity that they ought to.
Right.
And so there's often some level of deformity
Right.
in those children because some of our bones are important for weight bearing. And if they aren't strong enough, those bones will.
So it's a childhood disease, more or less.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a childhood disease.
Okay. All right.
And on the other spectrum, we have osteoporosis, where the bones become brittle and break more easily than they ought to.
That's a senior disease.
If you will. Yes, sir.
Interesting.
So vitamin D is important for that whole calcium absorption process. Vitamin D of late has also been shown to be important for other things. In fact, as we were alluding to last week, immunity, you would want your immune system to be functioning
Definitely.
optimally, and vitamin D plays a role with that as well.
Wow.
Interestingly, it's been shown to help prevent colds and flus.
Prevent cold.
Well, let me not say use that such strong a word, but it helps in warding it off or strengthening the system in such a way that it makes you less susceptible to it.
Okay.
Right? And other infections, it also aids in decreasing your risk of lifestyle diseases, which
Right.
we've been talking a lot about in this mini series.
Right.
You know, the heart disease, the diabetes, the,
Right.
and strokes and those
Good.
sorts of things. And as we would have referenced the last time as well, the whole thing about genetics.
Right.
It has been said that out of the approximately 20,000 genes that regulate our body functions,
Mm-hmm.
over 900 of them may be directly linked to and controlled by vitamin D.
Wow.
So vitamin D is it's
Amazing.
important. One doctor called it the key to the genetic library.
Have mercy.
So vitamin D may be a lot more important than we think.
So, Pastor, how do I benefit from the sunlight? Do I just wait until the sun rises in the morning, run outside, and see how much I can get?
Well, studies have shown that if you want to get the optimal benefits of sunlight, particularly as it relates to vitamin D,
Right.
well, how it happens, but the rays of the sun, particularly the UVA rays,
Right.
which strike your skin,
Mm-hmm.
and it causes the conversion of certain chemicals that would eventually lead to vitamin D being produced in your
Right.
body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the sun is close to the horizon, chances are you may not be getting those UVA rays that are needed.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to wait till the sun is past there about 45 degrees in the
Okay.
sky
Mm-hmm.
to have those UVA rays.
Okay.
So being exposed to the sun mid-morning, mid-afternoon, because
Right.
of course we wouldn't want to advise you to go out and bake in the midday sun or barbecue yourself. But if you want to get some effect, you would have to be there in the mid-morning, mid-afternoon
So
sun.
you are telling me that you're going to advise all bosses, all supervisors to let their employees go outside at 10 o'clock in the morning for just about 10 minutes.
I dare say if it were possible, I would have. Yes.
But around that time, you are
Around
saying...
that time,
Yeah.
a good measure to use is looking at your shadow.
Okay.
If you see that your shadow is much greater in length than your
Okay.
actual height,
Wow.
it just may be that you're
Are you
not.
casting aspersion on my height, my friend?
No, sir. Who am I to do that? Look at me. But I'm saying if you find your shadow is a much greater in length than your
Okay.
actual
I would
height.
love that to happen, yes. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it just may be that you're not getting those rays needed for
Okay.
vitamin D. But if your shadow is about proportional to your
Right,
actual
to
height,
actual height.
or even shorter, that means that the sun is at that correct angle
Right.
that would strike your skin to give you the vitamin D production.
Is
that
there a
you
length of time I must stay in the sun? For that
well,
kind of-
those that is also influenced by other factors,
Mhm.
such as how much of your body is exposed,
Mhm.
the actual hue of your skin,
Mhm.
because persons who are have darker skin tones would
okay.
need a greater amount of sun exposure actually.
Darker. Interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
to have the same effect than those who are fairer.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
So you're saying around 10 in the morning and in the afternoon around what time? 3?
Around 3, yes,
Yeah,
thereabout.
that's,
You would want to get some sunlight.
So, Pastor, after all these years, we in Trinidad and we in the Caribbean have been complaining about how hot the sun is. We are actually complaining about a blessing.
It just might be that may just be the case, Pastor.
We should be thanking God how hot it is.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but we should definitely thank God that in this part of the world,
Right.
as opposed to others where they have to pray for some
I'm
sun
telling you,
exposure,
I'm telling
we
you.
have it in abundance,
Right.
and many times we are letting it go to waste.
And I've observed from persons who come from temperate countries, they like to bask in the sun. When they come to
Yes.
these parts, they relish the sunlight because, back home it's not as, as bright and as brilliant as we have it here.
That is definitely the
Okay,
case.
okay.
So let's make use of the sunlight that we do possess.
What about water?
Water is important, and it's linked somewhat to exposure in the sun,
Mhm.
because if you are in the sunlight, many times you would desire to drink water
Right.
in adequate amounts. So water is important. The blood is mainly composed of water. Water
Right.
is the medium that allows all the other components of the blood to
Right.
be effectively transported.
Right.
Your cells need a certain percentage of water in it fact, it's mainly water anyway to function optimally. And so, water, your body cannot survive without it.
Right.
And many persons, sad to say, may be walking around dehydrated. In fact, by the time you feel thirsty, that's an alarm bell going
Right.
off in your brain and your body saying, hey, I've reached a point where I need to tell you that you need
Okay.
water urgently.
But I shouldn't wait until I'm thirsty.
No, you ought
Okay.
not to.
How often should I drink water? Not so much how much, but how often.
Well, it's best advised that if you keep sipping water throughout the course of the day,
Okay.
that's one of the
Interesting.
better ways to consume it
Okay, interesting.
than guzzling down 2-3 glasses at
Right.
one time.
Right.
However, for persons who do find that a challenge, then to get in those 8 to 10 8-ounce glasses, you may want to drink 2 before breakfast upon rising, 2
Right.
mid-morning, before
Right.
your lunch,
Right.
2 mid-afternoon, and 2 later on.
Would it also be dependent upon the condition of the weather? Because sometimes when it's colder, you tend to drink less water, and when it's hotter, you tend to consume more. Would that have an effect as to how the body regulates or is regulated by water?
Well, naturally, because they more hot,
Yes.
the atmosphere.
Right.
Particularly if you're in a position where you will sweat as you excrete that water, you would need to replace it
Right.
along with the salts.
Right.
So I would say the 8 is probably a minimum.
Right.
But if your job, as if you work outdoors, or if the weather is of such that you are sweating more than you would normally, then you just increase from there.
Okay.
You drink more water.
And of course, it depends on how big that glass is anyway.
Yeah, well, when we say 8 to 10 glasses, or so we're talking about 8 ounces in a glass.
Oh,
yes.
okay, there you go.
That's the measure.
Okay, so we have spoken about sunlight, we have spoken about water. Is there something we have missed?
Well, yes, rest. We should look at that, particularly in the 21st century.
Rest, you saying?
Rest,
Okay.
yes. People call the lives we live a rat race. I always found that an interesting term. I'm no rat. So I think rest is important. Rest is important. And I look at rest in at least three different subcategories, if you will. Rest in terms of sleep, which is what will most readily come to mind.
Sure.
So we need sufficient number of hours of sleep, 6 to 8 hours of sleep on average per night. And if you can get 1 or 2 of those hours before midnight, you would be doing yourself a great favor.
Right.
Yes, so rest in terms of sleep is important. We also have rest in terms of during the day itself, taking some time out of whatever mundane activity you do to have a change in activity, to do something more pleasant, recreational. That also is rest.
Right.
And it has a positive impact on your mind and your body.
Okay, great.
And studies have also shown now that what is optimal for the human functionality is having 1 day out of 7 where you have a total change in activities.
Change of activities.
So whatever you normally do for the other 6 days, this 1 day in 7 is the activities are totally different.
Beautiful.
That is also in the rest package.
So it's not simply just relaxing, it's change of activity.
Yes, that is included in rest.
So when the Bible talks about Jesus, God rested from his work, it really means that he rested from creating, but not that he went to bed.
Very much so.
Because he that keeps Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. We are looking at mind, body, and soul. We have looked at the body. When we come back, we'll look at the impact of the mind, or the impact on the mind and the soul. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mind, Body, and Soul. We spent a great deal of time looking at the body. Now we want to look at the impact of one's state of mind on his health, and even the whole question of how faith affects one's health. Pastor, doctor, could you assist us in this question? Does one's state of mind affect his physical health or his health in general?
Yeah, it certainly does, Pastor. One state of mind affects his or her health, and we have seen real, tangible evidence of that. Persons who decide to live life in a way where they harbor bitterness and resentment, others are perpetually angry at persons or at things or at their circumstances. They experience higher, mortality rates, that's one, and they also have a greater risk or a greater tendency to have lifestyle diseases or
Why is
these
that so?
non-communicable diseases. Well, that is so. We don't claim to understand it 100%, but there are certain chemical changes that occur in the body based on your state of mind and your emotional state.
Right.
And these biochemical changes and these hormonal changes that may occur can influence your health or can take a toll on certain cells or organs of the body.
Right.
So that is the link that we would see there.
Okay. I know it's interesting that you mentioned forgiveness, because the word in Greek for forgiveness simply means to send it away. So that when I refuse to forgive you, I can actually be hurting myself rather than the person who needs to be forgiven.
That is certainly true. Persons who have experienced emotional trauma in their childhood years or some early part, and they have held on to that baggage, if you will, it comes out in a physical way. You know, some persons who have witnessed abuse, they go blind, but there's nothing wrong with the apparatus in their eyes or even their brain or their optic nerve. Everything is perfectly healthy, but because of that trauma, or others may become dumb. So we see these manifestations, yet others who have harbored unforgiveness for many years, they end up with high blood pressure, some end up with strokes and heart disease and all manner of diseases.
If you had done me something wrong, Pastor, and you ended up on JC 24/7 today, I should be affected more by it because I have not forgiven you.
Yes, that is true.
So you had no right to be here if you had done me wrong.
Well, thank God that's not the case. As far as I know.
Okay.
Yes, so...
What is it they say? There's some poison? Forgiveness is like a poison or something?
Well, they said that, the danger with unforgiveness,
Unforgiveness, right,
is that it's like drinking poison but expecting your enemy to die.
Wow.
Yes.
That's profound. Could you say that again? One more time.
Unforgiveness or harboring those feelings of bitterness and resentment. It's like you drinking poison but expecting your enemy to die from the effects of it. So, we all know that the one who drinks the poison, that one will experience death.
Okay. So if I had not forgiven you, I would be dying.
That's correct.
Thank God I have not reached that state.
Praise God. You have forgiven me. I'm so happy to hear that.
Oh, there was no need to. By being here, you're already forgiven. Whatever you would have done or would ever do.
That is very reassuring.
All right. And we find that happening a lot in the church, Pastor. A lot of persons come to church and, they can't sit next to a certain individual, or they can't be seen with the individual because of that lack of forgiveness. Lack of forgiveness. But I'm sure that faith and church and religion and spirituality has a positive, at least it's supposed to have a positive effect upon one's health. What do you say?
Definitely it does. And so we encourage that atmosphere of forgiveness amongst our members for their mental health, their physical health, and the health of the faith community. But when it comes to faith itself and religion, studies are showing, and there are more research is being done into it as we speak, that being part of a faith community actually has tangible positive benefits on one's health.
Why do you think that happens or is happening?
Well, one aspect which most persons would readily agree to is the whole social dynamic. You fellowshipping with persons in a supposedly pleasant setting, doing activities together, and that impacts your health positively. But even more than that, one study was done that we can reference in Israel between two farming communities
Right.
that had similar cultural norms and
Right.
practices and socialization, but one of them was not really religious and the other was religious. And so, because of the other factors, it kind of balanced things out, except for their religious, practice.
Mhm.
And it was shown that the group that was religious actually had twice less a likelihood, they were twice less likely to suffer from some of these non-communicable diseases of which we
Interesting.
would have spoken.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And one other thing that was even more astounding to me, Pastor, is that another study concluded that being part of a faith community consistently can actually add up to 7 more years to your life.
7 more years.
7 more years. That's tantamount to ceasing the smoking of tobacco,
Wow.
adding that value to your years, a
Wow.
number to your years.
Wow. I suppose, therefore, it has a lot to do with the state of the mind again, the impact that the mind will have on one's body. Could that be one of the reasons why persons in your fraternity or other such fraternities may recommend placebos or stuff like that to patients whom, when they're diagnosed, they may not find any physical ailment per se, but it might be a mind over matter? Is that one of the reasons why you guys...
Well, sometimes it is mind over matter, and while doctors may not recommend placebos, it's done in clinical trials, and so sometimes when the drug that is being requested will not be in the patient's best interest, is not indicated for them, it may actually harm them.
Right.
A placebo may be given, and because of the person's mindset thinking that if once I get this, I will be improved, they actually feel improved and behave as if they are improved.
Okay.
So I've seen it happen. It's a real thing, yes.
Can somebody get sick by thinking, I'm going to get sick? I'm going to catch the common cold. I think I'm coming down with a fever. Could there be a relationship with how that thought process, affects one's body?
There certainly can be. If you think of yourself as perpetually unhealthy and you've given up and you have thrown in the towel, it's likely that you will not experience better health. But persons, even if they are not where they desire to be, but they have made up their minds, I will improve my health, I will do things. I may fail sometimes, but I will not beat myself up or stay down in the gutter, so to speak. But I will get up, dust myself off, and continue to make healthy choices. Those persons experience better health.
Right. And I say that because I know of cases where persons may have been diagnosed with cancer, for instance, but they were not told. But the moment they were told, the cancer became more aggressive. Stress, people say, may also perpetuate or at least intensify the whole question of cancer. Do I have a point there?
Well, one's reaction or response to the diagnosis can affect the outcome to some extent.
Very well.
So
the converse is also true, because I think of the woman found in Mark 5 who was ailing for 12 long years. And she said within herself, according to Luke, if I may touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. And she did that. And what did Jesus say? Your faith has made you whole. Now, Jesus did not even turn around to heal her. She was healed before Jesus pronounced, your faith made you whole.
Yes.
So there is a relationship between one's faith and physical healing and
Certainly
physical healthiness.
And that makes me so happy.
Good.
That apart from all the spiritual benefits and so that one derives from being part of a faith community, the fact that there's now emerging empirical evidence that shows it impacts your physical health.
Beautiful.
That's good news.
And I can see why you chose both medical and ministerial fraternities, so you can be at an advantage. I could learn from people like you, so that's why I hope this will not be the last time you would be with us on JC 24/7.
I shall return anytime you invite me, Pastor.
We have space for the likes of you, enough space for persons like Pastor Joe. Dr. Joe, if you want to contact him, feel free to call any of the numbers that appear at the bottom of your screen. Know this in Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. And you will live not only for this life, but for the life to come with JC 24/7. Thank you once again, and we look forward to having you next time on JC 24/7.
Thank you for viewing JC 24/7. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to inspire your living as you prepare for heaven. You can get it all on JC 24/7.